Right, now this here, of course, is going to be a celebration of some pretty incredible people. But before we jump into that, if I could please ask you to be upstanding for the arrival of the official party.
Australians, so let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, and let us sing. Advance Australia fair.
Please be seated. Thank you. Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us at the South Australia's 2022 Australian of the Year Awards. I'm Ali Clark from ABC Radio Breakfast, and it's my pleasure to be your host here this evening at the wonderful Convention Centre, and this is why we're here. Yes, in this year of all years, the Aussie spirit has certainly come to the fore, hasn't it? It has provided an opportunity for all of us to gather tonight and reflect on a pretty tricky year. Also, to pay respect to the sacrifice of thousands of first responders and frontline workers who put their safety and the well-being of others before their own, and to celebrate our collective effort to protect our communities and help each other during this COVID-19 pandemic. Through natural disasters and coronavirus lockdowns, our nation's heroes have inspired awe in so many people with their selfless acts. It's times like these when inspiration is needed most, and so many people in this room, the nominees especially, have inspired so many of us in many different ways. We're reminded on Tonight of All Nights that resilience is part of Australia's DNA, and the Australian of the Year Awards program is committed to showcasing these extraordinary members of our community. The 2022 Australian of the Year nominees are people who inspire courage, inspire sacrifice and kindness, and we look forward to celebrating all 16 nominees tonight. I would now like to welcome Her Excellency the Honourable Frances Adamson, AC, Governor of South Australia, The Honourable Stephen Marshall MP, Premier of South Australia, is with us as well. The Honourable Jing Lee, MLC, JP, Assistant Minister to the Premier. Mr Chris Picton, MP, Shadow Minister for Health and Wellbeing, representing the Leader of the Opposition. The Honourable Dean Brown, AO, former Premier of South Australia. The Right Honourable Lord Mayor, Sandy Verschoor. Uncle Frank Wanganeen is with us. To Senior Defence Force and SAPOL representatives, thank you for coming. Adriano Stendado, the Consul of Italy here in South Australia, welcome. Mr Peter Sulkas, Chair of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, and Mrs Jan Chorley, who is with us, the Chief Executive Officer of the Australia Day Council of South Australia. Welcome to the Australia Day Council of South Australia board members, council mayors, sponsors, tonight's nominees. And we also have Tanya Hosh, the 2021 South Australian of the Year here. We have Isabel Marshall, the 2021 Young Australian of the Year. Professor Richard Bruggeman, 2021 SA Senior Australian of the Year. And Jake Batafuoko from the Power Community Limited, representing the incredible legend that is Russell Ebert, OAM, who is 2021's SA Local Hero. Welcome also to former recipients. Actually, who didn't I just call out then? It's a long list of wonderful people, but to ladies and gentlemen and children who are here with families to celebrate, thank you so very much for coming on. So we're here, and of course I will mention it because it is 2021, we will be celebrating in a COVID-safe way. But to those of you watching at home, online, welcome, well done you. You're getting to watch this probably wearing thongs or Ugg boots depending where you are in the country. So enjoy that, but it's lovely to have you here as part of these celebrations. This evening, of course, you are welcome to join us in recognising these incredible heroes by posting to social media, because let's face it, if it's not on social, it doesn't count, apparently. All right, so here's how you do it. Basically, it's hashtag Oz, AUS of the year, and you can do that across Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, okay? So that's hashtag Oz, AUS of the year, all one word. We now move into our opening ceremony and Welcome to Country. And this is incredible. It's going to include Frank Wanganeen and dancers from Jiracha Dance Theatre Collective providing the Welcome to Country, followed by a performance from musicians Julian Ferraretto, Abdul Nanu and Zhao Liang performing Great Southern Land. Please make them feel very, very welcome.
Noi tampanti to Willa Berkiana. Noi tampanti Bemba Balyarendi. Garna Yurtiana, Martichianga, Garna Miona. Noi Wangti, Marni Noi Butni, Garna Yurtiana. I like to recognise the ancestors. I recognise where we hold in this event is on Kaurna country. On behalf of the Kaurna people, I welcome you to Kaurna country. Warinthi Kamunka. Let's walk together. Nataya.
How absolutely incredible there. Of course, we had Frank Wanganeen with Michael Ross from none other than Electric Fields, the Jaracha Dance Theatre Collective with Janelle Egan there. And what about those musicians? How good were they? Julian Ferrato, Abdul Nanu and Zhao Liang. One more time for everybody. So if you are new to the Australian of the Year celebrations, welcome. It's great to have you on board. Just so you know, basically we will be working through 4 categories. There's Australia's Local Hero, the Young Australian of the Year, the Senior Australian of the Year and the Australian of the Year. Now, importantly, the 16 nominees you're about to meet, they inspired someone else and were nominated, sometimes anonymously, by someone whose lives they affected in their community. They are people who constantly demonstrate courage, resilience and selflessness. They are the ones that roll up their sleeves to help their community, and peoples whose determination and sacrifice not only save lives but help enrich them. These are pioneers who started a revolution because they could no longer sit back and watch, and they are people who kept going against diversity to encourage and support others. Now, our nomination process is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. So for those sitting at home watching this, you might want to start thinking about who you want to nominate right now. And you can nominate anyone that inspires you. The council gets thousands of nominations each year. And from these nominations, the South Australian panel has selected your 16 nominees for 2022. Now, one recipient will be announced in each category, and these 4 will then go on to join all the other state and territory winners at the National Awards on the eve of Australia Day, and that will be announced by the Prime Minister and broadcast live on the wonderful ABC TV and iView, so be sure you tune in then as well. Whatever the outcome this evening, our nominees richly deserve our respect and they deserve to be here. And I, on behalf of everybody sitting in this room, want to congratulate you right from the start. Please put your hands together and you'll start to meet our nominees. I would now like to invite Peter Sulkas, the Chair of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, to share some words.
Thank you, Ali. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that the land we meet on tonight is the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and that we pay our respect to their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. Her Excellency, the Honourable Francis Adamson, AC, Governor of South Australia, the Honourable Stephen Marshall, MP, Premier of South Australia, Chris Picton, MP, who's representing the Leader of the Opposition tonight, Peter Malinauskas, distinguished guests. I'm not going to try and copy Ali. You all know who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm delighted to welcome you all to the presentation of the 2022 Australian of the Year Awards for South Australia. 2021 commenced with bushfires and the continuation of the COVID-19 pandemic. And compared to other states in Australia, I think we've done a very, very good job just being here tonight. Against this backdrop, many South Australians, including some in the room tonight, have given far beyond their respective roles in order to support South Australians and our communities. Since the inception of the National Australian of the Year Awards program over 60 years ago, it is clear how so many of the Australian of the Year recipients have contributed to changing the Australian landscape and have shone a light on matters that are important to all of us. Australians of the Year have raised the bar on issues like racism and reconciliation, including our very own 2021 Australian of the Year, Tanya Hosh. Tanya is the first Indigenous person and second woman appointed to the AFL executive. She has held leadership roles in sport, the arts, culture, social justice and public policy. One of the preeminent Indigenous leaders pursuing constitutional recognition of Australia's First Nations people, Tanya's principled leadership is transforming the AFL, advancing women, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, gender diverse Australians and the entire community. Our Young Australian of the Year, Isabel Marshall, also over the last 12 months took the opportunity to promote the important issue of period poverty in Australia and the world. At just 18 years of age, Isabel co-founded Taboo, with a school friend, Eloise Hall, to help women around the world by breaking down stigma and providing greater access to female hygiene products. Both are with us tonight. I also would like to acknowledge Richard Brueggemann, who's here tonight, our Senior South Australian of the Year, who has been recognised for the incredible work he's undertaken with the disability sector over many, many years. So thank you all. These awards celebrate great Australians who have made a difference to Australia and reflect our values as a nation. Each year, Australians nominate who they believe are worthy of the nation's attention. Quiet achievers and community members, individuals who lead by example, inspire others with their achievements and who make a difference locally, nationally and globally. To the finalists who we are recognising tonight, congratulations to each on all your achievements. It is a great privilege for the Australia Day Council of South Australia to be able to highlight all you have contributed. Our thanks must also go to the Australia Day Council of South Australia sponsors and supporters. I thank you sincerely for your ongoing contribution as either a corporate club member, individual member or sponsor. We wouldn't be able to do some of the events and activities without your support. I'd also like to acknowledge the support of the Department of Premier and Cabinet and the National Australia Day Council. We greatly value the partnership we have with both DPC and the National Australia Day Council, and personally I'd like to acknowledge the relationship we have with the Premier. It's been certainly a very good relationship and we really appreciate the support and interest you show in our activities. We want that to continue. Another important stakeholder of the Australia Day Council is local government, who on Australia Day conduct over 80 events and functions across South Australia to acknowledge our National Day each year. Mayors and elected members are in attendance here tonight and we thank you for the significant role you play in bringing your communities together on Australia Day each year, and especially the welcome you provide to our new citizens. We also acknowledge the many councils who are working hard to ensure First Nation voices play a key role on Australia Day. And I hope I'm not breaking protocols, but I'm really pleased to advise that the National Australia Day Council, through the support of the federal government, will again be offering grants to local government to support the Australia Day citizenship ceremonies and activities for 2022. And more information will be sent out in the near future on that. I'd like to acknowledge our previous Australian of the Year award recipients who are here this evening and who make up the Australian of the Year alumni and ambassador family. It would be remiss of me if I'd also like to thank our board members for their tireless contribution, enthusiasm, participation. I've certainly valued your support, and we have to recognise all of us do this on a voluntary basis. So thank you very much for all your support and activities. I'd also like to thank our CEO Jan Chorley and her team of the Australia Day Council of South Australia for their hard work to ensure that everything we do across the year recognises our inspiring people and diverse communities. And over the last couple of years, we've actually had reconciliation at the centre of our work, as well as celebrating diversity and unity. Now, if I could just finalise by returning to our nominees. Congratulations on becoming a South Australian nominee in the Australian of the Year Awards for 2022. This is one of our nation's most recognised and esteemed awards, and you should be very proud that your achievements and contributions are recognised here tonight. From the thousands of nominations around the country, you have progressed to this stage, and we celebrate each of you and what you bring and what you will continue to bring to this nation. Congratulations.
Thank you, Peter. Very, very smart, asking a politician in the lead up to an election for something. I quite like that. He did mention the Honourable Stephen Marshall, MP, Premier of South Australia. Please make him welcome, and then he'll stay with me to announce the first two recipients.
Thank you very much, Ali. I begin by acknowledging that this evening we meet on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people. We acknowledge their ongoing spiritual relationship with this precious land. And I've got to say, I thought the acknowledgement of country tonight presented by Frank Wanganeen Jiracha dance was just incredible. What did you think? It was fantastic, wasn't it? To Her Excellency the Honourable Francis Adamson AC, Governor of South Australia, to Mr Rod Bunton, to the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Adelaide, Ms Sandy Verschoor, to my parliamentary colleague the Honourable Jing Lee, MLC, who assists me in my role as the Minister for Multicultural Affairs and really helps with the Australia Day Council Awards, to Chris Picton, the Shadow Minister for Health in South Australia, to all of our distinguished guests. Can I particularly acknowledge all of our past winners, our past nominees, and the wonderful nominees that we have with us tonight. There are some very, very distinguished people in this room tonight for South Australia's Night of Nights. Now, Peter, he's already asked me for money for next year. I've got to say, I'm so grateful that you acknowledged my enthusiasm for the Australia Day Council and the Australia Day Awards. I am genuinely enthusiastic about these awards because they recognise the incredible contribution that is made by so many special South Australians. Tonight we have with us former nominees, and it's wonderful to have Tanya Hosh with us, who of course was the South Australian of the Year last year, Richard Brueggemann, of course we have a representative of Russell Ebert, go the power, and Isabel Marshall, who of course was also recognised as the Young Australian of the Year. All of us held our breath and were so excited by that announcement. In fact, South Australia punches well above its weight, don't we? In the last 3 years, two of those 3 years, we've had the Australian of the Year with Dr. Richard Harris and Dr. James Mukey. But this year's nominees look absolutely fantastic. No pressure, but 2 out of 3. Come on, let's get 3 out of 4 here in South Australia. This is the night when Australians will recognise the achievements and the incredible contribution of our most eminent citizens. It's always presented on the eve of Australia Day. It's a very, very special time, and we here tonight get the opportunity to see our wonderful nominees presented for this prestigious award. I've got to say, we live in the best country in the world. It was wonderful to have this wonderful performance of the Great Southern Land. Wasn't it fantastic? Well, I just want to say we are the Great Southern Land of the Great Southern Land. And the reality is we do live in the best country in this world. I remember my father saying this to me as a little kid at Ethelton Primary, and Dad said, we live in the best country of the world. And I remember thinking, what is that guy on about? But he said, it doesn't matter where you start in Australia. It doesn't matter where you start. You can set your goals, you can set your aspirations, you can make a contribution. We live in a state where a Vietnamese refugee became the Governor of South Australia. It's an incredible place, and tonight we are again presented with some extraordinary South Australians who have made a great contribution. They inspire us, they challenge us to continue to make our contribution to South Australia. A massive congratulations to each and every one of you, and a massive congratulations to the Australia Day Council, all of the sponsors, all of the supporters, especially our wonderful, wonderful friends in the Local Government Association. And can I say to Peter Sulkas and to the hard-working committee, to Jan Chorley, thank you for what you do. Thank you also for recognising so substantially in the program which you offer every year the first people of this continent, the Australian Aboriginal people. And the morning in the morning is a special and solemn commemoration of their contribution to this land. It's wonderful to be here tonight. This is actually my very first function with our new Governor. And when I was walking up to this what do you call this thing here? Lectern, thanks Ali. Tonight, I was thinking to myself, get the name right, because I'm so used to standing up saying the Honourable Hugh Van Lay. I've got to say it was an incredible swearing-in ceremony, Your Excellency. We are all so delighted with your appointment and your swearing-in ceremony, and we know that you're going to be making an outstanding contribution. You already have in your extraordinary career, but South Australian first, and now back here in South Australia. So to Your Excellency, we hope you enjoy your wonderful role as the Governor of South Australia. And I hope everybody tonight enjoys this wonderful, wonderful celebration of the great success of everything South Australian.
Thank you so much, Premier. Go Crows! I think there was more. What? I'm on the ABC, Premier. You know that we always like to do things very evenly, very even-handed. Well, it is time. The time has arrived to announce our first 2022 Australian of the Year award, and we're starting with Australia's Local Hero. Now, this award recognises Australians that are making significant contribution to their local community, and it's those everyday people whose selflessness is absolutely humbling. It's through their local community activity that these people inspire others nationwide to do something where they live. The nominees for South Australia's 2022 Local Hero are:
When Monique Barham was diagnosed with cancer, her treatment left her with lymphedema. At this time, South Australia was the only state without a compression garment subsidy scheme. This meant many people living with lymphedema were going without these necessary medical items. Wanting to make a difference, Monique joined the Lymphedema Support Group, SA, soon becoming its president. Through her efforts, the South Australian Government announced a compression garment subsidy scheme in July 2020. Even after this breakthrough, Monique remains tireless in her advocacy for the lymphedema community across South Australia. After surviving a suicide attempt in 2003, Anthony Hart has been on a mission to shift the narrative around mental health in Australia. As the founder of Invigor Wellbeing, Anthony empowers people to identify and address challenges before they escalate into serious mental health issues. He also created Save Our Mates community wellbeing roadshows that help to shift the way communities think about mental health. Anthony shares his story to inspire Australians to take better care of their mind and physical well-being. In 2013, Sarah Tinney suggested a fundraiser with a difference. A light-hearted conversation at the local Brighton Surf Lifesaving Club turned into the Marilyn Jetty Swim. The event sees hundreds of women and men dress up as Marilyn Monroe for a swim around the Brighton Jetty. Since inception, the annual swim has raised over $670,000. It is the biggest community event supporting Cancer Council SA. Devoted to her Brighton community, Sarah gathers adventurous women and men from different walks of life, united by their desire to see the end of cancer. After retiring from a career working in the youth justice system, Raeleen Wolokovich founded the first women's shed in South Australia in March 2020. The Playford Women's Shed is a safe, supportive and friendly environment for women of all ages, backgrounds and cultures. The shed offers a place for women to gather, volunteer, work, teach, learn and enjoy the company of other women. Raeleen always puts herself out there to help. She's developed programs to teach life skills and gives courage and support to women from all backgrounds in Adelaide.
Good as that. If I could please ask those four incredible nominees to be upstanding so we can pay tribute to you as you're able, where you are. Don't be shy, come on. Fantastic. I'd now like to welcome Jake Badafuoko from the Power Community Limited, representing Russell Ebert, OAM, who was 2021's South Australian Local Hero.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm absolutely honoured to represent Russell tonight and present this award. Russell would obviously love to be here. He would like to say a huge congratulations to all of this year's finalists, and that he's incredibly proud of the amazing contribution that each one has given to their local community. It's absolutely no doubt also that the finalists have all inspired others to do good in the community, much the same as what Russell has and continues to do for so many people. So it's my absolute pleasure on behalf of Russell to announce the winner of the 2022 SA Local Hero Award to Monique Barham.
Sorry?
Yeah. Oh, if you just missed it, the Premier was asked to stand aside there. Monique, come on over.
Thank you.
Come on over.
Thank you.
Wow. I actually wish that I had the photo when they called your name out, because this was her face. So, how are you feeling? And I know that sounds like a trite question, but with something like this, standing up in front of all these people.
Yeah, I am humbled and I'm amazed. I'm just really, yes, it's wonderful. Yes.
Can you explain to everybody why compression bandages are so important?
Yeah. So lymphedema is a condition that can come from various pathways, but mine came from the life-saving cancer treatment that I received. So without compression, lymphedema is an incredibly debilitating condition that just worsens. And I'm not wearing this tonight because it's a fashion statement. It's actually my very vital kit that manages my condition. It's cost thousands of dollars, and many people for many years were living without. And I just, I didn't want to see people living without it anymore.
Can you remember the feeling when you found out, after all of your advocacy and all of your hard work, when you actually found out that this program would now be funded? Can you remember what it was?
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. And I remember the feeling of standing next to Minister Wade during a COVID pandemic. Mind you, we still managed to launch the garment subsidy scheme. So just having met so many people across the state over many years, knowing that those people are no longer suffering in silence, it just makes me quite emotional, actually.
Yeah. Understandably. There are a few people you'd like to thank?
Oh, absolutely. Without going into too much detail, but here tonight, well, it's family, friends, and Professor Pillay, who is the patron of the organisation that I head up, but my committee, and just the amazing people that I've met over the years that have just been there and kept me going when, because it did take a little while, and my own health wasn't that brilliant, but just, yeah, so many people.
And how are you now?
I'm well. I am well, and actually I met a GP in the audience tonight who said to me after 45 years of his treating, he hasn't seen anybody with such well-managed lymphedema, because I've had it for 10 years. But I just want to say my absolute vision is positive health outcomes for every single person living with lymphedema or at risk of lymphedema in South Australia. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. They can all have well-managed lymphedema like I do.
How good is that? Monique Barham, the 2022 Local Hero. Absolutely brilliant. All right, so now we are on to the Young Australian of the Year. And this award recognises young Aussies, inspirational Aussies, aged between 16 and 30, who have accomplished some pretty great things already in all walks of life. And the nominees for South Australia's 2022 Young Australian of the Year are...
Kyle Chalmers is an Olympic swimming champion who inspires through his efforts and achievements, both in and out of the swimming pool. Kyle won the gold medal in the men's 100 metres freestyle at the 2016 Rio Olympics, setting a new junior world record. He also won silver in the same event at his second Olympic Games in Tokyo. Out of the pool, Kyle is involved in community events such as volunteering with the Salvation Army, fighting racism through education with Enough is Enough, and supporting and promoting the Fight MND Foundation to help find a cure for motor neurone disease. As the youngest of only 20 practising specialists in Australia's special needs dentistry sector, Dr. Trudy Lynn provides oral health care to people with disability, psychiatric illness, and complex medical issues such as cancer. She also treats people experiencing homelessness and domestic violence. Trudy specialises in special needs dentistry to care for the most vulnerable people in our community, a place she believes her profession can create the most positive impact. Showing a strong work ethic and exemplary leadership skills, Trudy dedicates her career to improving access to oral health care for all Australians. As the founder of independent record label Renegade Records, Bianca Nilsson is a mentor to many artists all over the world, in music and also in life. Since its establishment in 2015, Renegade Records has grown into a buzzing record label that helps around 5 new artists each week. It also serves as a female-operated safe space for anyone in the LGBTQ+ community. Through music, Bianca always sees opportunities to inspire. All around the world, she helps musicians to realise their dreams. In late 2019, Zoe Simpson was inspired to help farmers after a devastating bushfire ripped through South Australian farmland. From there, the Mount Gambier Hay Run was born. In January 2021, she conducted a delivery drive to the Lucindale community after a blaze in Blackford left around 16,000 hectares burnt. In just 3 days, Zoe and her team managed to deliver more than 70 trucks full of hay to the community. Zoe shows a tireless effort in supporting South Australia's farming communities in their times of need.
Does the future of South Australia look with those incredible nominees? Now, unfortunately, Chalmers is off being a superfish, so he can't be here. But to our other 3 nominees, if you could please stand so we can give you tribute for the attention that you deserve for your incredible works you're doing in our community. Well done. I'd now like to invite Isabel Marshall, 2021 Young Australian of the Year, to the stage to say a few words and make the announcement.
Good evening. It has been such a privilege to get to know Zoe, Bianca, Trudy and to learn more about all that they're doing, as well as learn about what Carl's up to digitally as well. This is such a special night and you are all incredibly inspirational. I do want to acknowledge that yes, you have incredible accomplishments and obvious causes that you are amazing representatives of. But I do want to recognise all the hours that are unseen, all the energy and emotion invested in the things and the people that you love, and also the teams and support networks and groups that support you to enable you to do the incredible things you do. But that's plenty from me. I'm sure everyone's more excited about what's in the envelope. So, the 2022 Young Australian of the Year for South Australia is Dr. Trudy Lynn.
Please, congratulations, Dr. Trudy Lynn. Now, I won't ask for a show of hands about who feels uncomfortable going to the dentist. Why dentistry? Dr. Lynn, why?
That is a very common question I get asked, Ali. Well, my passion for dentistry was instilled in childhood because my father struggled a lot with his oral health, and I grew up seeing how much of an impact that had on so many aspects of his life. And I saw firsthand how in order to live a full life, we need to be able to eat and to speak and smile. And so a healthy mouth is essential for us to have a healthy body, a healthy mind, and healthy connections with those around us. And then as I grew older, my youngest brother who has autism and my grandmother who was diagnosed with cancer, they faced even more significant challenges related to their oral health, and I saw the impact was even greater in those kind of vulnerable populations. In addition to all the challenges that they're already facing from their conditions, they also were at greater risk of dental disease and would find it harder to find a dentist that had the specialised skills to treat them. And so that's what really led me on this path to want to specialise in special needs dentistry, because oral health not only affects a person's quality of life, but it can also affect the length of their life. And a good example of this is dental plaque inhaled into a person's lung can cause a lung condition which is a leading cause of premature death of people with disability in Australia. And 1 in 5 Australians are living with a disability. So the odds are that this affects someone that you know or care about. And this is why it's really important that people know that it's important to brush their teeth, and also for people to have access to a dentist. Because I know, and my passion comes from the fact that brushing teeth saves lives.
There you go. Seriously, for any parents of young children in the room, I'm taking her home first to get her to lecture the kids first.
My mum might want to have a word with you about that.
How do you think this award might impact the delivery of what it is that you do, and can you even imagine what's going to happen next?
This award means so much, because this is just such an amazing platform for me to be able to advocate for access to oral health care for all Australians. I am one of only 20 specialists in the country, so we're kind of like an endangered species. And when you compare that we have 20 specialists to care for 1 in 5 Australians that are living with a disability, and 47% of Australians living with a chronic medical illness, which is only going to rise because of the fact that we have an ageing population, you can see that our nation is facing a silent healthcare crisis. So this is why we have a responsibility to address this crisis, because every person has the right to equal access to oral health care. And there's a lot of solutions that we can work on. We can upskill general dentists, we can advocate for more funding for more specialist training programs and more jobs for specialists once in the public oral health care sector. But there's a common denominator that underpins all of these solutions that needs to be addressed, and that is that we need to overcome the attitudinal barriers and the stigma related to disability so that more people are willing to step up and share the care. And I really believe that this is something that all of us as individuals in our society can do something about. It's as simple as starting a conversation and seeking to really understand others. Inclusion is the key. And smile, because smiling is free. And so let's start with this. Everyone, go out, smile, and say hello to a person with disability. And together we can create a more inclusive society.
Man. Absolutely, completely inappropriate, but Dr. Trudy Lynn, I just want to hug you, but I can't because of COVID. All right, now, people you would like to thank.
Oh, toilet roll long list of people to thank. I'd love to thank my family who have been there with me from day one and have really shaped who I am today and why I'm on the path I'm on. I want to thank my grandmother, the grandmother that was diagnosed with cancer. She's no longer with us, but I wish that she was here so she could see that she had so much impact on where I am today and why I do the work that I do. I'd love to thank my family in my special needs unit. There's 4 other specialists that practice in South Australia. They're all amazing individuals. I'd like to thank them from the bottom of my heart for being my daily inspiration. And I'd love to thank my patients because they inspire me day after day with the strength and resilience, and they teach me so much about how to become a better practitioner for them.
Well, you said smile. I'm looking at your family. Look, I'm looking at them. I can't see their faces for their grins. So congratulations. You are the Young Australian of the Year for us in 2022.
Thank you, Ali.
Well done. Wowee. So no pressure on our next guest because our next guest of honour is Her Excellency, the Honourable Frances Addison AC, Governor of South Australia.
The Honourable Stephen Marshall, Premier, thank you for your very warm welcome. Distinguished guests already mentioned, fellow South Australians, and can I just say how good it feels to say fellow South Australians. Gana bokaina alia, Gana miana alia, Yaitja miana alia, Kumatana yartananku. I acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather and pay my respects to the elders. It's my great pleasure to be with you this evening to present the final 2 Australian of the Year awards for South Australia. I commend the Australia Day Council nationally and in South Australia under Peter Sulkas' chairmanship for its passion, dedication and commitment to celebrating outstanding citizens in our community. South Australians are bold, talented and innovative. You recognise a need and are willing to make a difference. You are our inspiration and the essence of who we are as a state. Everyday people doing remarkable things. As I said when I was sworn in a fortnight ago, South Australians have a sense of community to be proud of, exemplified by a deeply rooted culture of volunteering. And as I've seen every day since, literally every day since, there is also a great deal of innovative thinking and a commitment to excellence. I'm impressed by the wide range of fields and activities encompassed by this year's finalists, from advocacy for women, veterans, wildlife, artists and people with disability, to cutting-edge health technologies and the fundraising to support them. The scope of your work is huge, and yet each contribution, unique though it is, shares a common commitment and compassion for others. For many of you, it is about using your expertise generously, beyond the boundaries of your roles. Some of you have overcome challenges and assisted fellow South Australians reach their potential. Others are tireless in your resolve to promote inclusion and opportunity. All of you are committed to helping South Australia be the very best we can be, and you deserve our heartfelt thanks. I have to say, though, I don't envy the selection panel its job of selecting individual winners. Clearly, all finalists are worthy of being selected as state winners, but of course only one can be chosen in each category. And I want to congratulate the recipients of awards already presented by the Premier, Monique Barham, Australia's local hero, and Dr. Trudy Lynn, Young Australian of the Year. These accolades are very much deserved. I wish you and the winners of the about to be announced awards, which I look forward to presenting, Ali, in a moment, the very best at the National Awards. Thank you very much.
So now it is the turn of our Senior Australians of the Year, and this award celebrates the ongoing achievements of Australians aged 65 years and over who continue to challenge themselves and inspire others. Here are your nominations for the 2022 South Australian of the Year.
Peter Clark is a passionate wildlife conservationist. As director of the Monarto Safari Park, he's played an instrumental role in turning the Open Range Zoo into the world's largest safari experience. Peter has established world-recognised wildlife conservation initiatives, including plans to bring vulnerable southern white rhinos to the state. He's also leading a $50 million project called Wild Africa, which includes an expansion of the park and increased animal population, plus an 80-room hotel and glamping-style accommodation. In 2021, Peter received a UNESCO Achievement Award for his commitment to conservation and animal welfare. A Vietnam War veteran, Bill Denny, has contributed greatly to how we remember the service and sacrifice made by Australian servicemen and servicewomen. As chairman of the RSL South Australia Anzac Day Committee, he founded the Anzac Eve Youth Vigil to widen the legacy of Anzac commemoration to include young people and people of multicultural backgrounds. Bill also co-founded the first memorial in Australia to commemorate the service and sacrifice of often undocumented Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and led the creation of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. From 1994 until her retirement in 2020, Dawn Jennings opened her home and heart to support foster babies, helping ensure they had a safe and nurtured start to life. While raising her own 4 children, she's cared for 91 babies, caring for them for a few days or up to 18 months until permanent homes were found and secured. Dawn is a shining example of how important it is to care for those who need our support, and the remarkable difference one person can make to the lives of many. Mark Mesura has devoted his life to improving the self-worth, well-being, mental health and life outcomes of young people who are struggling in some capacity. After a 20-year teaching career, Mark opened a private practice consultancy to mentor children and teenagers who needed support beyond the school system and to coach parents. He's also authored numerous books, including co-authoring What's the Buzz, a world-class social and emotional literacy education program. Mark's generosity and consideration for others is profound, far-reaching and life-changing.
Certainly, without those people in our communities, can you imagine how different they might look? Their sacrifice, determination and courage has shaped generations and will continue to shape generations to come and leave that lasting imprint for many years. I'd like now to ask our 4 nominees to please stand where they are, if they're able, so we can pay tribute to them. I just really want to be clear. I asked everybody to stand if they're able, not just the Seniors Australians. I heard someone laugh. I thought you might have thought that. Please welcome to the stage those South Australia's 2021 Senior South Australian of the Year, Professor Richard Brueggemann.
Thank you very much, Ali. Congratulations to the 4 nominees. And just listening to those presentations makes me realise what a diverse event this is. The range of things that people have done, the things that they have brought to South Australia. And you know, I have this theory. If you've got 2 units of value and this person's got 2 units of value, when you put them together, the answer is often 5, not 4. And I hope that the winner tonight has that opportunity to join with the other people to develop some really interesting combinations and synergies. And I will now let you know who that is, if the printing is big enough, which it is. And the 2022 Senior South Australian of the Year is Mark Mesura. I'm getting the picture. You're ready. You're such a great job.
Nothing quite like silence in front of a heap of people while you're having your photo taken, is there? Please put your hands together as we welcome Mark. So.
Yes, I didn't see that coming. Yeah.
Looking back at all of the work that you have done, did you ever imagine it would, well, not culminate, because there's no doubt so much more work to come, but have you standing on here as our 2022 Senior Australian of the Year?
I didn't see it coming. Seriously, Ali, I have this approach in life where you get on with what you're doing, you tune in to the people that you're working with, you don't look behind you or even in front of you, you just connect to somebody and you want to make a difference and you keep working it.
What are some of the challenges or maybe opportunities that you encounter day to day when you're working with, I guess, both parents and children or young adults that come to you?
Okay. I'm blessed. I have a job that I love waking up to every morning. And the saddest thing about waking up in the morning is that I have to leave my 3 whippets in bed and Sharon. But once I break away, I do look forward to getting to work. And it's that closeness that you build with young people. And I guess over the years, what's crystallised is that so many of the young people that I work with are children who have diverse abilities. I like to use that term rather than disability. And it's an extraordinary range of abilities, but early in the piece, they don't have a voice. Early in the piece, it's very easy for them to be in environments where they're hearing negative messages. And when you hear negative messages all the time, it's hard to show great behaviour or the behaviour that's expected of you. You almost become wired neurologically to do the behaviour around a default, a faulty logic. So I enjoy working in that area with young people. And I've got 2 of my ex-clients with me here this evening who I love to bits, who are young men now leading really successful lives, but battled with school through dyslexia.
Oh, well, it's lovely that they could be here. That might have been the big that we heard at the start. We'll have people pointing them out. But don't be embarrassed now.
Yeah, wave.
There are no doubt lots of people that you would like to thank along the way, and I don't want to tell you how to do this, but maybe start with Sharon and finish with the whippets this time around.
I have to, seriously, Sharon knows this, we talk about it often. I think I've just finished writing my 18th book. Every moment I spend at the keyboard is time I spend away from Sharon, and it's time I spend away from my family, but I'm really driven to write, connect and to give young people that voice. So Sharon, thank you. I know the sacrifice that you've made. Noni, my daughter, is here tonight too. Noni works alongside me in her own practice. I have to get that right. But has taken our social skills programs, What's the Buzz, to a brand new level. Very proud of you, Noni.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. We're very proud of you. We're taking ownership of you as we've all met you. A lot of us have met you tonight. And this is South Australia's 2022 Senior Australian of the Year. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
So now we come to the final category, and this, of course, is the Australian of the Year award. Now, this award celebrates the achievements and contributions of eminent Australians who are role models for us all. Now, they are trailblazers who don't have to be us. They have a need. They need to share their talent, and they inspire us all. So let's take a closer look at the nominees for South Australia's 2022 Australian of the Year.
Since 2012, Philip De Pinto has dedicated his life to supporting children with disability. He co-founded Living Without Limits Foundation to positively impact the lives of kids with autism and cerebral palsy. Since inception, the not-for-profit has raised more than $1 million. These funds have gone towards critical research, other children's organisations, and to set up the House of Respite, a holiday house in Goolwa that gives families a break from full-time caring duties. Through his selfless work, Philip is leaving a lasting legacy within the disability sector. Professor Helen Marshall is one of Australia's most celebrated vaccination researchers. She specialises in vaccinology, public health and infectious diseases at the University of Adelaide's Robinson Research Institute. Over her career, she's been involved in game-changing studies that have had global impact. She's particularly focused on the fight to stop meningococcal B. Since 2004, Helen has published 211 peer-reviewed papers and been awarded 17 research grants, totalling more than $33 million. Throughout the pandemic, Helen has provided advice about meningococcal B and COVID-19 to the South Australian Minister for Health and the Chief Public Health Officer. Studying medicine at the University of Adelaide, Dr. Samantha Pillay became the first woman in South Australia to complete the adult urological surgical training program. She was the first Australian to subspecialise exclusively in female and functional urology. After recognising a need to focus on incontinence treatments and special care for women in South Australia, she opened her subspecialty practice, Continence Matters. An advocate for public health, education and financial security, Samantha wants to remove the stigma of incontinence by engaging and educating doctors, health professionals and the community. A former senator, today Natasha Stott Despoja uses her platform to advocate for gender equality and the prevention of violence against women and children. She's the founding chair of Our Watch, a national leader in the prevention of violence against women and children. Over 8 years, she's worked tirelessly to embed gender equality in the lives of Australians to help prevent violence. Recognising these efforts, in November 2020, the UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women elected her as an independent expert for a 4-year term.
Nominees, and unfortunately Natasha Stott Despoja can't join us tonight but is represented by her husband Ian Smith. If I can ask the nominees to stand as abled where they are so we can acknowledge your incredible contributions. Thank you. I would now like to invite South Australia's 2021 Australian of the Year, Tanya Hosh, to the stage to share her experience of what it has been like and also make the announcement.
Your dress is Port Power colours, you know.
No, only when you turn around. She
Yeah.
said my dress is Port Power colours.
I'd like to acknowledge that I'm graced to stand on the land of the Kaurna people. Since I was announced as South Australian of the Year, I have actually become disabled. So you all have to smile at me, otherwise I'm going to tell Dr. Trudy. I have just been so incredibly honoured to have this title. It was a huge surprise, and I see that surprise shared amongst the winners tonight. What a privilege to get to represent your state, to talk about the things that drive you, that you're passionate about, and make our communities stronger, safer, better for all the generations with us and the ones still to come. As a mother, I just want to thank every single finalist tonight for making South Australia and indeed our country better, not just for my daughter, but all of those young people out there, some who are having a really, really tough time. I just want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do. It has been a wonderful opportunity as South Australian of the Year to meet all of the other winners, to see their amazing work and to be completely inspired by what they do. It is my very great pleasure to announce that the South Australian for 2022 is Professor Helen Marshall.
It's kind of like a photographic Hunger Games, isn't it? Congratulations. Well done. So, there's this thing called COVID-19. Have you heard of it?
It's a bit of a problem. Yeah.
Let's go back though, because meningococcal B is something, and I guess it's something that we need to keep focusing on. Everything else that's still going on around us, while so much tension is on this current pandemic. Just talk to us and remind us why meningococcal B is something that you focused on so strongly.
Yeah, meningococcal disease is a killer, and it still shocks me that in the last decade, 1 in 10 children have died who've had meningococcal disease. And for those who haven't died, there's about 4 out of those 10 who end up with deafness, with blindness, having to have surgical amputation of one or maybe all 4 limbs as a result of the complications of this really horrendous infection and disease. And I started out as a medical student actually in Western Samoa doing a placement there, and saw what happened. Children died of infectious diseases where vaccines were not as available as we have in Australia. And to come back and then work at the Women's and Children's Hospital and see the devastating effects that these serious infectious diseases such as meningococcal disease can do was really the inspiration to get involved in public health actually, and immunisation. And immunisation it just saves lives, and we had the opportunity to undertake a study here to look at the impact of meningococcal B vaccine in infants, children and adolescents. And we now have a program here in South Australia which is the envy of the world, because here in South Australia we have meningococcal vaccines that cover every strain that causes disease in infants and adolescents. And so, it's so exciting for me to see the numbers plummet from 35 cases a year down to 7 last year. And it's just a wonderful outcome.
How many years, if you don't mind me asking, how many years of study have you done to become a professor?
Yeah, 1 or 2. Yeah, so,
the reason why I ask this is because, unfortunately, we seem to live in a moment in time where lots of experts on vaccination are on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, everyone's an expert now.
But I think this is,
right.
You do have a platform now, and this is something that we heard that you've also advised the South Australian Government on with regards to COVID-19 vaccination.
Yeah, which is an absolute privilege,
How do you feel that something like vaccination is so contested at the moment?
Yeah, it's really concerning to me because at the moment, I mean, we've done such a wonderful job here in South Australia in keeping COVID out and keeping us all safe. But the pandemic is coming. Nobody else really knows this about me except my family, but I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, and we're always hearing about winter is coming. The pandemic is coming. And every person in this room is going to come in contact with that virus. And so I please get vaccinated. The vaccine will stop you from getting hospitalised, and it will stop you from dying from the infection. It's just so important. But what I really want to do, and really want to be an advocate for families where vaccination access is difficult. And we're really talking about families, children who may be in disadvantaged circumstances that don't have easy access to vaccines, and that's certainly something I hope that we see increasing resources, even if it means having to knock on doors to actually get vaccines into the arms of those children. There's still tens of thousands of children in Australia who don't receive vaccines because of disadvantage, not because of anti-vaccination. Our research has shown that. And certainly, I'm sure the Premier and I must have some distant relative. Yeah, we're both marshals, so we must have some. I think
Isabel Marshall last year, and now.
So I think that's a good starting point to negotiate how we might improve access to vaccines for those disadvantaged in the community.
Well, now you've been knocking on a door with this wonderful award under your arm, and we'll look forward to seeing you go to Canberra just before Australia Day. There must be so many people along this journey that you would like to thank.
Yeah, absolutely, and absolutely my family. Absolutely adore them to bits. My 3 children, adult children here, and my husband, of course, are just so supportive. They just let me do whatever I want to do and what I, are driven to do, and never hold me back. And so that's just fantastic. And also, University of Adelaide and the Women's and Children's Health Network, my team at the hospital and the university that work with me, everybody else that, I love collaborating, so I have lots of collaborators all around the world that work with me and I learn from, so I thank them all if they're watching.
Of course they are. Please put your hands together for the South Australian of the Year. She was just whispering, what a surprise, I can't believe it. Well, that wraps up the formalities of the awards. So I think, though, given the incredible breadth of the skills and what these people have done for their communities, they are worth another congratulations. Please put your hands together for Professor Helen Marshall, the Mesura, Dr. Trudy Lynn and Monique Barham. To all of our nominees that are here, congratulations. Someone in your community thought you were incredible and you have touched their lives. Thank you, and thank you so much, and we cannot wait to see what you all continue to do. Of course, none of today would be possible without our national partners, so I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge them, who together make all of these awards possible, and we couldn't do it without their support. Our National Diversity and Inclusion partner, Chevron, they help us to inspire and foster unity and connect people of all ages and backgrounds. The Australia of the Year category partner, Australia Post, supports our national recipient in the delivery of their message nationwide. The Department of Health is a category partner for the Senior Australian of the Year. The Department of Education, Skills and Employment is our Young Australian of the Year partner. The Department of Home Affairs is the Local Hero Award category partner. And here are some brief messages from them.
Ingenuity,
creativity
and innovation, passion,
purpose, and the pursuit of excellence.
mateship,
inclusion,
and the idea of a fair go.
At Chevron, we call it human energy.
That's why we support the Australian of the Year Award.
as the National Diversity and Inclusion Partner,
celebrating the achievement
of outstanding Aussies
from every corner of our great country
and from every walk of life.
Because we're all part of the story.
For over 200 years, Australia Post has been at the heart of Australian communities, connecting them to each other and the world. We're thrilled to recognise the incredible Australian of the Year award recipients who make such a profound contribution to their communities and to our nation. We're proud to support the Australian of the Year award and join you in celebrating these inspiring Australians.
The Senior Australian of the Year Awards are an opportunity to recognise the outstanding contribution that you continue to make to Australian communities. The people nominated for these awards are role models for their families, their peers, for all Australians, no matter their age.
As the Federal Education and Youth Minister, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate and recognise all of the nominees for the Young Australian of the Year Award for this year. Each of you has been recognised by your state and territory government for making an absolutely outstanding contribution to your state or territory, and I want to thank you for that. You are a great ambassador and great role model for so many others, and I wish you well in the overall finals, which of course will be announced on Australia Day in the not too distant future. All the very best.
Australia's Local Hero Award recognises everyday Australians who have seen an opportunity to make their community a better place. Through their extraordinary commitment and selfless efforts, these local heroes have made a real and enduring difference. Congratulations to all of the finalists in the Australia Local Hero Awards. You are an inspiration to all of us.
Thank you for their support. I would also like to thank our broadcast partner, the ABC, not just because I'm probably contractually obliged to, but they do support us, the team here, year-round, and we'll screen the national announcement live on the ABC, of course. That will be on ABC TV and iView on January the 25th, which will begin a day of programming to reflect, respect and celebrate Australia Day. Our media partner is the Australian Community Media, and they support our calls for nominations, so you can see them. They have a really unique collection of community-based local newspapers and websites that spans the entire country. So they help us inspire millions of Australians by telling stories of our extraordinary state and territory recipients. Our alumni partner is the International Day of People with Disability, and this day on December 3 each year challenges the way that we think about disability, and as we try to help grow a more inclusive country. We thank our national accommodation partner, Crown Plaza. We appreciate your warm hospitality for our travelling nominees and recipients, especially each January. Thanks goes to our cultural partner, the Australian National University, who through its School of Arts and Music designed and produced all of our trophies and also composes and performs music at our events around the country. Our thanks to exhibition partner, the National Museum of Australia, who delivers the Australian of the Year exhibition in Canberra and around the country right throughout the year. And last but certainly not least, we appreciate the continued support of our legal partner, Minter Ellison. Please again, none of this could happen without all those incredible teams, so please show your appreciation. So congratulations again to all of our recipients. Now we need to take some more photos of you because that wasn't enough, so we need to take more, so don't go far. But on behalf of all of us here in this room, I wish our recipients and our nominees all the very success in your future endeavours. To our recipients, we wish you all the very best on the national stage on January the 25th. And in saying that, that brings us to an end of the formal proceedings. I do, however, just want to take a little bit of time to encourage you all to start thinking about people in your lives, in your communities, in your groups that make a difference, because you can nominate someone right now for the 2023 Australian of the Year Awards at australianoftheyear.org.au. Now, if I could please ask you to stand for the departure of the official party. And for the rest of us, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you very, very much.